Okay, so during the Ian and Grammy video, and yes, there's a lot of stuff back here and craziness behind me. We're not going to fool with that right now. Um, I talked to you about the way that I compost and some of the things that I compost. Um, we do have a bin, a very small bin that is out on the patio right around the garden where we put garden trim in, dead parts of plants and things like that. That immediately goes there. It can dry in the sun. Eventually, it will go through the same process that what I'm doing now will go through, that I do inside or go through. I do vermiculture. Um, I love it. I'm not, because I'm in the city limits, I'm limited to what I can and can't do. And to just keep things calm between myself and my neighbors, I stick to vermiculture because I can do that in my home. Right now it's in my half bathroom because it's the least used room. The cats use it. Every now and then somebody might go in there to go to the bathroom. Other than that, excuse me, allergies are through the roof today. Other than that, that's the basic way. If it's something like when I pull up my tomatoes and things like that, they're just going to go into the beds. They're going to decompose and go back into the beds. For the most part, they'll go through the compost period of sitting out, and because I don't really want random tomato plants at this point. When we get out on the farm and there's not a whole lot of worry about where the tomatoes grow and where we have to mow and what we have to maintain, totally different situation. Here, pardon me, I don't like to do this, but I just sneezed. Thankfully, I got something close to me. Here, whole different situation. So I want to show you how I do this, because this is what works for me, that I'm able to do this and make new soil, but not at the same time not draw critters and bugs and stuff like that. The first thing that I do, and I do this every day, this Tupperware pitcher I have had. My daughter is 30. I have had it for 30 years. I bought it in Germany. It's a liter because I bought it from a German Tupperware for, imagine, 30 years. Why people don't buy more of these products is beyond me, because I have the canisters that I use were my mother's. Yeah. Anyway, in this, I'm not going to actually dump these in because these are fresh today. I take my coffee grounds. I drink a different coffee than my husband does. I do bulletproof coffee, plus I like John Conte coffee, which is a Kentucky brand, locally sourced. I have a cat with a hairball thingy, whatever. If you hear that in the background, I apologize. They do it all the time. Anyway, I set these out for about a day and let this dry. And then I put the grounds in here. I'll do one or two things after they're, you can see they're kind of still damp, but they're sort of, they continue to dry. I put the filter into another planter that I have sitting over there, and it immediately goes into the worm bed because it makes bedding. It creates a bedding for the worms, and then I can feed them, so to speak, around that bedding and then cover it with other paper. Whenever, I've showed you the lemon tree before, whenever it starts getting low, where it's used the nutrients out of the soil that's in it, I will take filter coffee and all and make a layer around the top of the lemon tree before I add the new soil on, because what that does is create a nitrogen base to absorb down into the soil. What I do with these, if they don't go into the worm bed, which they're currently not because I'm adding like soil from the microgreens, because that happens so much you know, there for a while it was quicker, and I need that soil back. So I'm using that soil for them to go back through and redo. I've set the sprouts that I'm fixing to put into here down, and the cat's kind of noshing on them, and that's okay. They're perfectly healthy for the cat to eat. Cats like greens. That's why they make cat grass. I have a cat that feasts on my peppermint plant and various other things. I had spinach growing at one time before the start of this year. He got every bit of it. Yeah, he's an ornery thing. The other thing that I do is eggshells. This looks gross. It does not smell very good. As I crack the eggs in the morning, whenever we're having eggs, I rinse them very good. I let them dry. Then I put them in here. Let them stay for a few days. Before I go to put more, take a wooden spoon and just crush them down. These go out in the front yard. They'll go out in the garden. They serve two purposes. They re-nourish the soil. They're slow to break down. And they also kill certain critters and insects that you really don't want in your garden, that will attack your plants. And so at the same time, I have a squirrel making off with tomatoes in my garden. We're going to have to go out there and fix that. Rotten little thing. I've ran him off twice. The washer is on a soak cycle, so it will turn on periodically. But what I wanted to show you is simply how I do this and why I do it the way that I do it. These were bean sprouts. These were my favorite of all of what I sprouted. However, I didn't process them before we went to the reunion, and they kind of like, when we got back home, and well, they kind of like, wilted. And I added a little bit of water hoping that I could save them. No, process your sprouts. Harvest them, process them on through. But what I'm going to do with these, and also, frankly, I know that I like mung, I think is how they're pronounced, bean sprouts. So I will grow more of these, but I have to do something with these first. So the way that I do it, and the reason why I do it this way, see this jar? It becomes, you can actually sprout from mason jars, and I think that's a really cool idea when it actually is probably the way that I should have gone, because I think it would have been just enough for me. But I didn't. I went with the trays because, yeah, a little crazy. But see, I stuffed that down like that. And then snag some more. And what I do, I don't feed my beds. I used to feed the worms way more often than I do now. And what happens when you do that, when you overfill a bin, as the food is breaking down, because the worms don't eat the actual food that you feed them. They eat the microbes that happen as the food is decomposing. So when you put something like this in there, two things can happen. This could take root and sprout, which would be fine, except for, no, not going to eat it. It will eventually die back down. Because you can put potatoes in your worm bin. I suggest, strongly suggest, that you cook them or boil them or something to help them break down. But while worms will eat quite a bit of food in a day's time, they eat the microbes. So the more broken down the food is before you put it into the composter, the faster they can consume it. I don't take the time, we'll put it that way, to cook every last little thing before I put it in to the bin. So what I'll do, these are old seals. These are old lids and old seals. I can't reuse this seal because it's already been used to can something and it's not good anymore for that purpose. However, it's perfect to put on this. Now, like I told you, and I'm sorry I have to do this again. Way crazy allergies. So that's what I do. Then I wash out the jar, sanitize it, and reuse it. For me, the biggest reason why I do these, this has some tomatoes that unfortunately, these that came out of my mother's garden that unfortunately went bad before I had the opportunity to eat them. Bad me, bad me. I use this size and this size. And the reason being, you see, I have a bad habit of going overboard when I do things. If you ask anybody that's known me for any period of time, they will tell you I go overboard. So this, putting it in this or this, helps me to know this is enough to feed. This is enough for a week's feed. This is enough for, so I don't, because what happens if you overfeed your bin is that you walk into where your worm bin is and you have a gnat explosion. I think I did a video not long ago talking about that. But when you have a gnat explosion, it is no fun. They are next to impossible to get completely rid of. You will have a few gnats because you have decomposing things. That being said, there's also ways, the fruit flies type gnat things. There are ways to cut down on the number of those that you have. Part of it is by, cooking, breaking it down before it goes into the bin. And that's what this serves to do. This will sit on my counter. The seal is sealed enough to where you have no smell, no odor, but it's not sealed enough to where I wouldn't use this seal again to can something that I'm going to consume or that I'm going to feed my family. But I have, because I save crazy stuff. But that's going to be the rest of what I do for the next few minutes. I was going to go ahead and do a microgreen video. I'm behind on planting for this week. I usually plant on Mondays or Tuesdays. I think I'm going to wait till next Tuesday, just because there's so much going on that I don't know if I can get to it or not. But anyway, I appreciate you stopping by, and I know some of this stuff may be like, ew, gross, just throw it in the trash. Well, here's the thing. If you put these coffee grounds in a plastic bag and send them off to the landfill, that plastic doesn't decompose. The nutrients that can help your soil that are in these coffee grounds are just sitting there being wasted instead of having them make soil again. So I choose to make soil. Now, I also will be in coming days. Also, when I make my henna, we talked about this a couple of days ago because I'm getting ready to order some and do my hair. I ain't ready to go gray. I'm sorry. I know it's trendy. I know it's in. I'm not ready. I'm not there yet. But I mix this in my henna to help darken my hair. And I also will mix this with stuff like coconut oil or almond oil. You can add a little bit of vanilla flavoring to it, or vanilla oil, fragrance-wise. Perfect body scrub, caffeine body scrub, which is caffeine is this exfoliating coffee caffeine scrub is very good for your skin. So there are uses for these coffee grounds that don't just mean toss them into the bin. I have fooled around and got these all over my fingers, and I can't stand stuff on my hands. Yes, I garden. Yes, I do all that stuff, but I can't stand stuff on my hands, so I have to wash my hands frequently. But yeah, just a couple of things that you can do. I'll have to look up the recipe. I think there's a video, an older video on my channel, of a mask that I did with coffee grounds. It's wonderful. It feels wonderful going onto your skin. And the products that you have, the products that go into it are products that are stuff that, food grade, stuff that you use in the kitchen anyway. So, yeah, there's a lot of good uses, and even at the end of this, it can go down the drain. I'm not gonna tell you to put this much down the drain at one time, because it may end up with a problem. However, it does decompose, so I have never had a drain stop up because I used a coffee scrub. You don't use it every day, you use it every so often. Anyway, I'm going to have to do this again, I'm so sorry. But anyway, this is going to be the end of this. I just wanted to talk to you about some of the ways that I reuse stuff and that I recycle stuff. What I do with this now, because we have the wood chips spread on the front side of the house. This is a longer process than somebody who's more able-bodied than I am. If somebody else could have got everything that I need done in a day, more power to you. I cannot. I have to work within what my body allows me to do. So, but anyway, what I do is I simply go out there, sprinkle this around, and you do want to sprinkle it around. If you put it just kind of like in a clump, it's going to decompose. You'll see the mold. You'll see it decomposing, but it becomes hard, which makes it harder for your plants to come through. But what I'm preparing out front for is next year. What I'm preparing my garden beds for is next year. And yes, I'll be putting some of this straight into those beds. This, not so much. This will go into the worm bin, and then that vermicompost will go into my wood chips and my soil to over the winter while it's breaking down and getting ready for next season. But this is getting lengthy. Imagine that. I'm a big mouth. I can't help it. I'm trying my best to keep my mind off of situations, so I'm kind of trying to make videos, and that's just how that is. For me, YouTube is free therapy. It's not about anything else. I come in here, share my life, my world, what I'm doing, how I'm doing it. A few thoughts. Hopefully I make your day a little better. Hopefully I give you something to laugh at, something along those lines. But it also is a distraction for me when things in life get a little too heavy. So, from our remnant urban homestead, I am the mayor's daughter. I love you all so very much. Thank you so much for watching our videos, and stick around with us. We want you to see it help us grow and grow with us and go on this journey with us, because this journey is going to happen. It is going to be, it may be a couple of years down the road, but there is a property with my name on it. Matter of finding it, different story. But there is the life that I want out there. But in the meantime, I'm going to bring as much of that life to here. So have a great day. Remember, I'm the mayor's daughter, and I'll see you in the next video. Since Ian and I started this, kisses to everybody. We love you so very much. And I'm going to have to wander out here and see how much feasting the squirrel has done on my garden. It's funny at this point. Have a good day. See you. Bye.